Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. MotoGP star Jack Miller has opened up about an emotional period earlier this year when it seemed his time in the premier class was coming to an end. In a candid interview, Miller admitted to breaking down when he was told his options for 2025 had disappeared, before a surprise lifeline from Pramac Yamaha emerged. 5 years after retiring from MotoGP, Jorge Lorenzo remains deeply involved in the sport, providing insight into his career and today's championship. In a recent interview with French media MotoRevue, Lorenzo reflected on his own career choices and commented on the current state of MotoGP, including the major players like Marc Marquez, Pecco Bagnaia, and Jorge Martin. MotoGP heads to Phillip Island, and for Fabio Quartararo, it's a crucial moment to improve his standing in the championship. Despite his struggles on the Australian track, the 2021 MotoGP World Champion remains optimistic. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Jack Miller, a fan favorite and four-time race winner, has been a fixture in MotoGP since 2015. However, as the 2024 season progressed, Miller was left without a seat on the grid for 2025. KTM opted to replace him with Maverick Vinales and Enea Bastianini, leaving Miller contemplating a career outside of MotoGP. In an emotional interview with MotoGP.com, Miller reflected on those uncertain months. "I'm not lying when I say that I was crying. I wouldn't say crying like boo-hoo, but crying because this was something that I worked for my whole life. I was told the options had all gone." Quote from Miller. As one of the sport's most beloved personalities, Miller was devastated by the thought of his career ending, admitting he was ready to move in a different direction. During the British GP, Miller publicly acknowledged that he had no MotoGP offers on the table, and rumors swirled that he might switch to World Superbikes with Ducati. However, it was during the Silverstone round that a lifeline from Pramac Yamaha appeared. This unexpected opportunity allowed Miller to stay on the MotoGP grid for the 2025 season, where he will reunite with Pramac, the team he previously raced for from 2018 to 2020. "We're extremely lucky to have another go at it, and I think it made me even more hungry." His upcoming return to Pramac Yamaha for the 2025 season reignites his MotoGP career and gives him a renewed sense of purpose. Miller, who rode alongside reigning world champion Pecco Bagnaia during his time with Ducati, was asked about the toughest rival of his career. "Pecco, I think, has been the most difficult because he's the guy who's stepped up to the challenge. I take my hat off to him because to see what he has done is amazing," Miller concluded. Miller's respect for Bagnaia highlights the fierce competition between the two during their time as teammates, and underscores how the sport's top riders push each other to new heights. The 2025 season promises to be a new chapter for Miller, as he joins Pramac Yamaha, a team he previously raced for with notable success. His return to the paddock after such a tumultuous year speaks to his resilience and determination. As Miller prepares for his 11th season in MotoGP, fans and fellow riders alike will be watching closely to see if he can make the most of his second chance on the grid. Jack Miller's emotional journey from potentially leaving MotoGP to securing a lifeline with Pramac Yamaha is a testament to his passion and perseverance. As he gears up for 2025, Miller remains one of the sport's most charismatic and determined figures, ready to prove he still has plenty to offer on the world stage. Jorge Lorenzo, a three-time MotoGP world champion, retired in 2019, but even now, he admits that his departure from the sport might have come too soon. In the interview, Lorenzo opened up about his injury struggles, particularly the back injury that ultimately forced his decision. "I probably retired too early. It was my back injury after the Assen crash that made me stop. Without that, I could have done 2 or 3 more seasons, probably with Ducati or Yamaha." Quote from Lorenzo. Lorenzo went on to clarify that Honda's performance wasn't the reason behind his exit from MotoGP. Instead, it was the physical toll from his injuries that led him to the decision. Reflecting on his time with Ducati, Lorenzo acknowledged that he may have left the Italian manufacturer too early. He had struggled initially, but once he adapted his riding style and worked closely with Gigi D'Allegna, results started to come. It took me more than a year to adjust my riding style and evolve the bike. By then, it was too late to renew my contract with Ducati. Still, I'm proud of the work I did with D'Allegna, and together we helped develop the Desmosetta SI. Though his stint with Ducati was cut short, Lorenzo harbors no regrets, noting that his contributions helped lay the groundwork for the bike's continued success today. Lorenzo also weighed in on the current state of MotoGP, expressing his admiration for the competitiveness of the championship and its new format, which includes sprint races. I really like the current championship. The races are close, and satellite teams can now fight with the factory bikes. The sprint races have added intensity, though they also increase the risk of injury. Lorenzo also touched on the growing influence of aerodynamics and technology in the sport, lamenting how it has diminished some aspects of rider skill. I'd prefer less technology on the bikes, less aerodynamics and electronics. Wheelies, for example, used to be a signature of motorcycle racing, but now we hardly see them, even when a rider crosses the finish line. When discussing the current MotoGP landscape, Lorenzo highlighted the difficult decision Ducati faced in choosing between Jorge Martin and Marc Marquez for their 2025 lineup. Ultimately, Ducati chose Marquez, and Lorenzo understands why. If D'Allegna had to choose between Martin and another rider, it would have been easier. But Marc is Marc. There aren't many riders who are 8-time world champions. Despite Martin's impressive form, Lorenzo acknowledged the unique draw of Marquez's talent and stature in the sport. Looking back on his time in MotoGP, Lorenzo also reflected on his toughest competitors, singling out Valentino Rossi, Dani Pedrosa, and Marc Marquez as his most challenging rivals. Between 2008 and 2013, Dani Pedrosa was a formidable rival for me. Casey Stoner was immensely talented, but Rossi and Marquez were the toughest in a fight. Lorenzo also spoke about the dynamics of being teammates with both Rossi and Marquez, acknowledging the intense competition that comes from sharing a team with another top rider. Jorge Lorenzo's reflections offer a glimpse into both his career and the current state of MotoGP. From his regrets about leaving Ducati to his analysis of today's stars, Lorenzo remains as sharp and insightful off the track as he was on it. As MotoGP continues to evolve, his perspective offers valuable insight into the sport's past, present, and future. Phillip Island hasn't been the kindest circuit for Fabio Quartararo. Last year, he finished a difficult 14th, marking his first time finishing a race at the track in the Premier class after earlier crashes in 2019 and 2022. Despite his strong qualifying performances in those years, his results didn't match the potential shown in practice. The season is suddenly going by very quickly. Hopefully, we can have a normal and complete race weekend here in Australia. The fans here always bring a great atmosphere. Quote from Quartararo. Currently 13th in the World Championship standings, Quartararo trails his 2023 position by 3 places and 48 points. However, he remains ahead of top Honda rider Johann Zarco by 50 points. Quartararo's recent races have been a mix of highs and lows. At the Japanese Grand Prix, he struggled with rear grip issues and finished 12th, far from the podium contention he's accustomed to. Despite this, he's managed to match his season-best finish of 7th in several races. Taking advantage of a break after Japan, Quartararo spent time training in Bali to stay in top shape for the final races of the season. With 4 rounds left, he knows there's still work to be done. Quartararo's teammate Alex Rins is also looking to make his mark at Phillip Island. Rins, a former winner at the circuit, missed last year's race due to leg injuries but has fond memories of the track, where he's achieved 3 podium finishes. I have good memories of Phillip Island. It suits me very well, so let's see what we can do. We hope for good weather conditions so we can focus on the development of the bike. Quote from Rins. Rins, who has had an injury-riddled season, sits 19th in the World Championship and is aiming to regain momentum after a tough 16th place finish in Japan. With only 4 rounds remaining in the season, both Quartararo and Rins are determined to end 2024 on a high note. As they head into Phillip Island, a track known for delivering thrilling races, all eyes will be on the monster Yamaha team to see if they can rise to the challenge. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you in the next video.